Hey guys, Justin here at JHart Modelworks. So Chris is still working on his GT40 for our buddy build, so I thought that instead of doing the final this week, I would go ahead and do an unboxing for the next build to go onto the bench, which is the Tamiya Gordon Murray Automotive T.50. I've talked about this a few times since I pre-ordered it from King's Hobby in Austin. So GT40 is wrapped up. We're going to go ahead and get the unboxing out of the way, and probably next week or the week after, whenever Chris is ready, we'll do a final on the GT40. But for right now, let's go ahead and get the camera switched around and take a look at what is inside the box. Alright guys, I have not opened this box yet. This is the first time I'm seeing the contents of this box in person myself. I've just removed the cellophane just now. We have some beautiful box art. Some LP color callouts there. Big box, huge box. So we got inside. We have a chassis, clear sprue, 1, 2, 3, 4 sprues of plastic, colored plastic. Some very low profile tires, and a bunch of polycaps. There's like 8 polycaps in here. 9, there's a lot of polycaps. There's more than I thought. So that's like 12 polycaps. There's our photo etch and decal pack. Background information on the kit, as well as some reference images. That's kind of nice. This is a car that there aren't like many of, so there's not a lot of reference photos out there, so it's kind of nice that they give you this. Instructions book, and this is a freaking book, dude. Three, 4, 1. Good Lord. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13. Like 46 steps, 47 steps. There's like 18 pages to this instruction manual. This is serious. And of course, Tamiya's tech tips of like things you're gonna want to have on hand, tools wise, like how to glue things, stuff like that. And a whole bunch of warnings and stuff inside the box. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff out of the bags, and we will take a closer look at some of these sprues. Alright, let's start with some of the small stuff. For the photo etch. It's nice that Tamiya does this. I'm surprised no one has done a detail upset for this yet. I looked, Hobby Design hasn't touched it. I mean, they're pretty busy with their alpha model stuff, but like no one has done a detail upset other than Tamiya, the photo etch that Tamiya includes that I've seen so far. Cosworth logos for the engine. Probably some mirror pieces. Some badging. Nice. So there's some metal transfers. We have our decal sheet. All of that looks really nice. Really clean. Gauge and instrument panels. Some probably signal markers or something. They are somewhat reflective, but they still have the same issue that I have with the Revell signal markers. They don't look realistic to me. Lots of nice badging. Very cool. To be nice and thin. So that takes care of that. I'm not going to bother taking the poly caps out because they're small and it looks like they're easy to lose. Looks like we've got 5 big poly caps and 8 small ones. I have no idea what these small poly caps go for. We'll find out soon enough. Tires. They're staggered front to back, a little bit wider in the back, and a little bit shorter in the front. Does not look like we have any sidewall. Yep, no branding on them. Tread looks nice. There's not a big seam in them. That's always a plus. Nice and clean. We have our clear parts. Make absolutely sure there are no staples. All right. That is some incredibly clear plastic. Charles from Texas 3D Customs. Those clear parts are pristine. There isn't any distortion in the bend, like absolutely nothing. This is like flawless glass. So, and there's a lot of it. There is a lot of clear parts in here. So we're going to get them. And some of those clear parts are freaking tiny. We're going to get these back inside the original plastic. Then we're going to take that and put that inside a zippy for some extra protection. All right, color sprues. I think we're going to do these in order of color, starting with this chassis. So you have this, basically you have a chassis. And all of your body panels are going to clip onto this. My understanding is that the way the glass works, the body panels clip on over the glass. And you glue the body panels in down, but you put no glue on any of the glass. So you don't worry about getting any glue on your clear parts, and your clear parts will stay pristine. I have no idea what those little parts are. that is, so there is a fan on the back end of this car, and the fan does some really cool stuff. There's some intakes on the bottom of the chassis that bring air up in through the bottom, and then there's basically some blades inside here that act kind of like an internal spoiler. And depending on which mode you have the car set for, if it's in like flat out speed, then it allows the car, it changes the aerodynamics to make the car faster. And then when you're needing traction, it changes to create more downforce. And so all of that works together with this fan. It's not like a jet engine fan or whatever Andy from Hobby Headquarters was saying. This fan functions to create downforce and to help streamline the aerodynamics of the car. So it's actually a really cool car if you go and do the actual research on it. They've got some great videos. I think Gordon Murray actually has a channel on here, or Gordon Murray Automotive does, where they talk all about the car. It's a really cool car. But this model it's just very unique in my opinion. I think they may have done the Senna the same way as this, where all the panels are separate and you glue them onto a chassis like this. Continuing on with the blacks, everything is pretty cleanly molded. There's absolutely no flash, which you would expect from a new tool. And there's some guys out there who are like, I don't understand why you guys talk about flash in your unboxings. Flash is a basic modeling skill. You should be able to handle some flash. Okay, well, here's the reason why we mention flash in unboxings. Flash is an indication of problems with the mold. Flash is where your mold isn't fitting together. So on a brand new mold, if you've got some flash in there, that's telling you there's possibly some problems with fit for the kit. On an AMT kit from the 1960s, if there's a ton of flash everywhere, that tells you that the molds don't fit together at all. And you're looking at a lot of work to get things to fit properly. It's not that we don't have the ability to clean up flash. Flash is pretty simple. The flash isn't the problem. The flash is a telltale for further problems to come in the build. But we go back to the molding for all of this is really clean, but you can see where the plastic poured and it mixed together. Now this shouldn't really be an issue. It does mean that you are going to absolutely have to paint this. You can't just leave it like that or it will look bad. Usually that's not a problem. I've seen every now and then where this becomes an issue when you're painting, but it's very rare. And sometimes it's like when there's a real defect in there where this doesn't meet at all. And when you're spraying like really, really hot lacquer paints, like maybe a 0 or something, it'll etch along that line and you'll see it through in your paint. So you want to take care, use a good primer, do some good prep, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue. The detail on these parts is absolutely incredible. Again, just some beautiful detail here with the panel lining on the under tray. Some of the chassis panel parts, those fins. This, I believe, was right up by the windshield. The back seats. The interior tub, everything is, again, super cleanly molded. The detail is fantastic. Steering wheel, instrument cluster cover. Your front seat. Your front seat's actually going to have some pads that are going to glue in here so that you can two-tone those. Very complex windshield wipers. Some very thin parts. Gonna have to be careful with these. A lot of detail on that center console. Tiny little shifter. That is insanely thin. And we're going to move on into the silver sprue. Got a bunch of chassis and suspension components. Some radiators. Would have been nice to have had some photo etch for these grills. Check the detail out in the pedal assemblies. I mean, that is crazy molding. Got a little bolt detail in there. Sculpting for the pedal levers. Some of these engine components. Look at that engine. That is gorgeous. Get a wash in there. That's going to be fantastic. That's what some of those little black parts were. These are for the coils. Nice. Yeah, these are those seat components. So you're going to glue these into the seat itself. Headrest has that Gordon Murray molded into. Oh, this is gorgeous. Some absolutely beautiful engine details. The casting is fantastic. Front and rear suspension uprights. These are kind of cool. They molded the oh, there's a tiny bit of flash, or it might be a cat hair. Yeah, it's cat hair. Alright. Tamiya is forgiven. It's a cat hair. Welcome to living in my friggin' house with cats. I've got 3 of them. But these are the springs for the coilovers, and those are beautiful. I had contemplated using some like real springs, because that's what I normally do. Some of the unboxings make these look really thick, but these really are not crazy thick on these springs. These look fantastic. You have your brakes, and the way they've got these brakes set up is that your calipers are going to glue up to these uprights here. You've got these holes here in your calipers. Oh, that cat hair is going to drive me nuts. And it's black, so that must be shadow. Alright, so there's some holes here. Those are going to go on these upright posts. So the calipers are going to stay still on the uprights like they would on a real car, and your rotors are going to spin with the wheels. I don't really like spinning wheel kits personally. I usually will glue my wheels in place, often because I use photo etch, but also if your wheels roll, that means your car rolls, which means if you get, there's a certain judge in my area who likes to get 3 inches away with his face from the models, which means he's got his hands all over the table. If someone, knocks your kit and your kit rolls and your kit can roll off the table, it's happened more than once. So I'm not a big fan of rolly wheels, but it is kind of cool that the brakes actually will roll with the wheels, because the wheels themselves are keyed in there. They'll lock the rotor to the wheel, and the rotor will spin inside the caliper like it normally would on a real car. Everything about this kit, well, it's daunting. There's a lot of plastic here, but everything is so beautifully molded. And we have our last sprue, and this is all of the body panels. And It feels smooth. But again, this is where that plastic mixed together in the molds. I mean, if it wasn't for that, you could technically do this car in silver and just polish the plastic. The plastic is beautifully smooth. But, yeah, those lines would look terrible. I do not feel any mold seams on this body at all. Maybe just a tiny little bit of flash right there on that edge. So there are no mold seams on any of these body panels that I can feel. Everything feels perfectly smooth. So you have no mold seams and you have no panel lines, because every single panel on this car is a separate panel. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for the unboxing. Now, when they first debuted this car, they debuted it in an orange. It was kind of a burnt orange. And I liked orange for a color on the car, but not that orange. I've done an orange in the past. One time, it was the 240 ZG that I did with Sean from the Scale Model Car Guy channel when I did that buddy build. And what I used was Splash Paint's Orange Candy over Zero Paint's Fine Candy Base. And that creates this amazingly gorgeous, bright, eye-catching orange that just screams, look at me. I've not taken the 240Z to a show that it has not, in some shape or form, placed. It screams, look at me. It is a gorgeous color, and I think it would be fantastic for this car. However, trying to color match candy across this many individual parts is going to be an absolute nightmare. I'm not entirely certain that I can do it. I mean, when you're doing candy on, a one-piece body, or maybe a body and a hood, that's one thing. But there's possibly 15 pieces here? That's a lot of parts to try and color match. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do color-wise with this. We may try to do the candy on this. I may look at something else. But for now, that is going to be it for this video. Thanks for hanging out with me. I always appreciate you guys watching the videos. I'm going to go do some color research on this kit, and I will catch you on the next one.